Good evening, it is 7:04 and I hereby call to order the June 2017 meeting of the Village of Tivoli Board of Trustees. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We will begin with a village clerk's report. Clerk Bruno, please.
So for this past month, there were 553 trash tags sold, 3 payrolls were processed, and there were not any zoning or planning board meetings. Just one upcoming tidbit is on Tuesday, July 4th. The clerk's office will be closed in observance of Independence Day.
Thank you, Clerk Bruno. And at this time, the Village Board of Trustees would like to wish Clerk Bruno a very happy birthday. And thank you for working on your birthday tonight. Your dedication is known far and wide. Next, we have 2 sets of minutes in your binders. Regular board meeting minutes from May 17th. And we have workshop minutes from just last week, June 14th, when we took a couple actions, so we have minutes. Is there a motion to approve both sets of minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? That was Schneider followed by Ezrati. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Moving on to the treasurer's reports. So the village fiscal year ends on May 31st. And while there are 12 months in the year, we have 13 abstracts. So we have tonight both abstract 13, which is mid-May to the end of May, 2 weeks, and then we have abstract 1, which is June 1st to yesterday or so. So abstract 13, the final abstract of the last fiscal year. Out of the general fund, $6,348.59. Out of the water fund, $142.32. Out of the sewer fund, $390.96, for a total of $6,881.87. And on abstract 1 of our new fiscal year, out of the general fund, $32,436.89. Out of the water fund, $3,007.51. Out of the sewer fund, $2,197.38, for a total of $37,641.78. Is there a motion to accept both treasurer's reports from abstract 13 and abstract 1? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Murphy followed by Schneider. Any discussion? As always, want to thank our treasurer, Bonnie Day. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the treasurer's reports are accepted. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Ezrati followed by Murphy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll pay the bills. Moving on to a zoning report. Trustee Ezrati, please.
Yes. In the time it took you to do that, I've lost it. Oh, here it is. During the month of May, 2 building permits were reviewed and issued. 8 complaints were submitted and investigated. 6 zoning violations were issued, and 6 municipal searches, which happens when properties are transacted or inquired about, were requested and completed.
Very good. Thank you, Trustee Ezrati. And we're in maybe our 3rd month of our new building inspector, code enforcement officer, Mr. John Fenton. You can reach him at Village Hall at bizeo@tivoliny.org. It's easy to remember because you can sing it to the jingle of bingo, right? So he has office hours Wednesday 4 to 6 and Friday 4:30 to 6:30. So he's been very busy, and we're glad that he has been. Moving on to public comment on agenda items only. hope that our public has had a chance to grab the agenda. And if you have any comments or questions on the agenda items, I'd be happy to answer them now. Seeing none, we will dive right in. We begin with the resolution approving budget modifications. Trustees, you'll see we have a long list here. These are related to ending the fiscal year, which just ended May 31st. And they're all quite small. Some are $51, $66, $100 in a few places. And the large adjustment you see there for $13.80 under traffic control, that's because we use some of our remaining funds to buy a stock of street signs so that we can replace some of the signs that are faded. I can see some out the window from here that we will replace. And as I mentioned in the workshop, I think we should feel good about how we've stayed active throughout the year, doing modifications month to month and really following the budget and staying on top of the spending. So with that said, is there a motion to approve these budget modifications?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Schneider followed by Murphy. Is there any further discussion? I'll do a roll call. Trustee Schneider?
Aye.
Trustee Azrati?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. And the resolution passes approving the budget modifications. Next item, we have a resolution in support of Hudson River Sloop Clearwater's sale to Washington, D.C. This is a resolution of support. The Clearwater is sailing down to Washington carrying what they call a cargo of concern that they will share with federal officials, documenting the broad-based concerns of citizens, public interest groups, and municipal and state officials throughout New York about growing threats to our water and to federal clean water protections, and for the need for sound, science-based water policy. It continues, now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Tivoli, Dutchess County, New York, hereby registers its deep concern over current rollbacks and threats to federal clean water protections as described above, affirms the need for sound, science-based water policy and for adequate regulation, enforcement, and funding as pressure on water quality and safety continue to mount. We also wish to express our support for the effort Clearwater is leading to carry our concerns and concerns of many New Yorkers for clean water and other environmental protections directly to Washington. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution of support?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Azrati followed by Murphy. Any discussion?
It's something that needs to be stated and attention brought to. We worked way too long on getting this river cleaned up to let it go.
Absolutely. And I certainly remember my field trip on the Clearwater in the 4th grade with Red Hook School. So,
How neat.
you know,
Did you all do that?
for a number of, yeah, you know, it's an incredible thing for the local school kids to go out on that boat and
Absolutely.
see it all firsthand. So, did we vote yet? We were discussing. Okay. A roll call vote, please. Trustee Schneider.
Aye.
Trustee Azrati.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. Next we have a resolution to adopt a secret determination of significance, a negative declaration. So the next 3 agenda items all relate to our waterfront park, and we worked on these pretty actively last winter, and we reviewed the secret determination, the LWRP consistency, and we also reviewed the determining the application of village zoning laws to the waterfront park project. Now, since January, we sort of took it so far, then we had a number of other studies done, including an archaeological resources study and a habitat assessment on several species, bald eagle, a sturgeon,
Short nose.
short-nosed, and 2 other species. So we've reviewed all those, and so now we're sort of picking up where we left off in January with this first of 3 resolutions to adopt the seeker neg deck. Council, is there anything else I should say about this?
No, just, we did circulate back in December when we started this process, and so doing those additional studies was part of that process, because you got comments from DEC asking you to investigate these additional areas, which you now have done.
Right.
So you've incorporated those findings, I will note that, as we discussed in the workshop, the findings of those two studies were negative. In other words, that there was not expected to be an impact as a result of the activities identified in the project. So a negative declaration has been then prepared for your review, which we did review in workshop. It was prepared by Crawford, your engineering consultant, and it addresses all of those issues, and as we discussed, it explains the impact on all of those issues is negative.
And just to further the discussion, because it was fascinating that down at the riverfront, in order to determine that there wouldn't be archaeological or historical artifacts that would be disturbed by this, they did 90 holes, or they planned to do 90 holes. Some of them they couldn't do because they were underwater. Some they couldn't do because they were under pavement, but they did more than half of what they planned to do. Discovered bits and pieces of shell and artifacts from Indians that may have lived in that area, but nothing that implied a real village or something that had been there that would be, that the value of that would be destroyed by the efforts at shoreline stabilization and the park that we're undertaking.
Right, we're back in June, having postponed since January, because you see the secret process in action where we notify other entities, and then they say, no, we need you to go do the habitat impact study, for example. So it's sort of neat to see it actually working when it's supposed to. With that discussion, roll call, we move this yet?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to resolve to adopt the secret determination of significance, a negative declaration?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Schneider, followed by Ezrati. Roll call vote, please. Trustee Schneider?
Aye.
Trustee Ezrati?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Next, we have a motion for approval of the LWRP, the Local Waterfront Revitalization Program Consistency Determination. Now, we sent this to our planning board, who does those reviews for us, and they were found to be consistent with the policies of the LWRP. And we've reviewed all these.
And in fact, it's the principal process to revitalize the local waterfront.
Right. Okay, is there a motion to approve the LWRP consistency determination?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Murphy, followed by Schneider, and we can do this by motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have a resolution determining application of village zoning laws to the waterfront park project. Council, I might ask for your help on some of this, but we'll test my understanding of Monroe. There's a sort of standard that's been set up when the bigger fish can ignore the smaller fish. Is that putting it in seriously layman's terms? Comes from there were 9 factors set forth in a case called Matter of County of Monroe versus the City of Rochester. And it's where, well, as applying to Tivoli, the question is, does the village of Tivoli need to go to its own zoning laws about that part, because it happens to be so anomalous and unique, so things like setbacks that any other project would be subject to, do they apply down there? Height requirements, so we know that our overpass may be 35 feet or higher. The zoning says that every building in Tivoli, there's a height limit, so the unique nature of the project, and that it isn't really applicable to, or our zoning law is not applicable to that project. So the 9 factors are the nature and scope of the instrumentality seeking immunity. That's the village is a political subdivision of New York State with full power and authority to designate and create parks for the enjoyment of its residents. Encroachment of a government's legislated grant of authority. Number 3, the kind of function or land use involved. Obviously, as we all know, the project will provide a recreational amenity along the village's Hudson River waterfront. Number 4, effect local land use regulation would have on the enterprise concerned. Well, this is more specifically what I was giving some examples of: setbacks, height requirements, and basically failure to provide the approvals would mean the project could not proceed. Number 5, alternative locations for the facility in less restrictive zoning areas. Well, we can't move the waterfront. That's the only zoning area where this project can happen, so I think we're okay on number 5. Impact upon legitimate local interests. Number 7, alternate methods of providing the proposed improvement. Number 8, the extent of the public interest to be served by the improvements. And number 9, intergovernmental participation in the project development process and an opportunity to be heard. Council, do you want to add anything to explaining Monroe to our...
No, I think you did a great job. All of these things are important factors, and ultimately the village really needs to decide whether, given all of these things, is it appropriate in this case to assert authority over these types of issues, the issues that would ordinarily be subject to planning and zoning review.
Right. And so this resolution continues now. Therefore, be it resolved by the Village Board of Tivoli that based on the foregoing, the Village Board finds that the construction of the proposed waterfront park project is immune from the application of the village's zoning law.
I'd like to move the resolution.
All right, that was Trustee Azrati. Is there a second? Second. Boy, we've really got simultaneous buzzers tonight.
Yes, we do.
Trustee Murphy was the second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Trustee Schneider?
Aye.
Trustee Azrati?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy? Aye. And I also vote aye. The resolution is approved. Next, we have a motion to approve the NYMER commercial insurance policy renewal. So, obviously, the Village of Tivoli carries insurance, and every year we have to renew it. And this year we added the value of the skate ramp, and we everything else I think was pretty much the same. We've insured our radar speed sign, and the annual premium is going up from $17,416.30 to $17,424.02. So it's going up $7.72 from last year. Is there a motion to approve the NYMER commercial insurance policy renewal? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Murphy, followed by Azrati. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next we have clerk's office summer hours. So every summer for a number of years now, like our neighbors at the town, Red Hook, we close the clerk's office at noon on Fridays during the months of July and August. Well, there I just said it. Monday through Thursday, regular hours. The hours on Fridays for the 2 months of July and August will be 9 a.m. to noon. So, is there a motion to adopt the clerk's summer hours?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
You want to pick that this time?
Anything.
Pick a name.
I got that one.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We had 2 other items we need to add to the agenda that came in late in the day. One was a resolution amending the resolution regarding local law number 2 of 2017. Here's for proofreading. So fans of the village board will remember that a couple of months ago we passed a new law on parking violations, and we talked about various yellow curbed areas, and when we mentioned the distance related to a hydrant, we had a typo in there, a scrivener's error, and it said in the law we passed that no one will park more than 15 feet from any hydrant. So when this was being proofread by the code folks who input it into the E-code, they caught that and said, "We're pretty sure you meant to say less." They said, "Yes, we absolutely were." So that's what this resolution is. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Tivoli, as follows, Section 212-5E of Local Law 2 of 2017 is hereby corrected to read as follows. No parking near hydrant. No person shall park any vehicle less than 15 feet to the right or left of any hydrant within village limits. So, is there a motion to amend resolution number 2?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Murphy, followed by Schneider. Any further discussion? Glad somebody caught that. It's good. Roll call vote. Trustee Schneider?
Aye.
Trustee Ezrati?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. So, Madam Clerk, you'll be refiling that with the Department of State tomorrow, and don't park close to those hydrants. That's the point. And the last item of regular business tonight is a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with ADP for payroll services. We've talked as a board for a number of months about what it costs us to do payroll in-house, and looked at a number of companies. I mean, this is a conversation that's been going on for over a year, right? So, and we've shopped around, and I want to thank Trustees Schneider and Murphy for your work on this. And we believe we can save $3,000 to $4,000 a year, and take a lot of pressure and responsibility off of particularly our treasurer, all the required IRS filings, etc. So we've shopped around, and we think ADP's got a good product for the village. Is there a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with ADP for payroll services?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was appropriately Schneider and Murphy. Is there any further discussion? If either of you two want to add anything to what I've said about why the village wants to do this, or?
Well, I think the cost savings also, and the amount of time put into it, and the filings are going to be automatic, and so it'll take a lot of pressure, like you said, off the treasurer, and it just kind of streamlines the whole process.
The software company keeps track of taxes and
Mm-hmm.
days that become reserve days or vacation days.
Yeah.
All of these things that are sort of one-off issues, that program will automatically
Track those.
track and keep, right?
So there's some ancillary benefits to our employees as well, as far as record keeping. I also do want to take a minute and thank all of the guys on DPW, because part of this process included creating a bit of a gap in our payroll cycle there to
Payroll
allow
lag.
for us, there you go, payroll lag. And all of our guys were phenomenal throughout that negotiation process, and coming to a resolution that didn't impact them negatively, and also allowed us to create that gap to move forward with this. So thanks to Jim, Cody, and Ralph.
And I want to thank Chris and Jimmy and for pursuing this multiple times, because that payroll lag actually stalled us out a couple of times because it seemed daunting. But we actually, Joel negotiated with the DPW, and so you have an obvious solution that just requires getting through the discussion of all of those little details.
Right.
Indeed.
And
It was
the
well
Village of
worth it.
Tivoli does not have a tremendous number of employees, so it's a lot of office hours for a handful of individuals, and much of the savings will come because we will be engaging our bookkeeper less frequently at her healthy hourly rate. So we're always looking to find efficiencies and save money and make the taxpayer dollar go further. So with that discussion, we can do this by motion. All in favor to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with ADP?
Aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye. That concludes regular business. The next board meeting will be held Wednesday, July 19th, 2017 at 7 p.m., preceded by a workshop at 6 p.m. here at the historic Westapeister Hall, and we have our regular workshop on July 12th at 7 p.m. Moving on to committee reports, trustee reports. Trustee Ezrati, please.
Yes, just an update on the LoSAP program, which we're getting to the place where we're almost at 10 years. We've paid out in this last round $2,000 to persons over 65 who are still participating in the fire company. We have moved our asset allocation to the one that we had approved a couple of months ago, and so we're now invested 31% in U.S. equities, 28% in international equities, and 40% in taxable fixed income with a small bit in cash. So that's sort of an update on LoSAP. Moving on to the well report, okay, I'm going to start. How many inches of rain did we get in the month of May?
Oh boy. Of
This
course,
is my test.
the deputy mayor is not here, who likes to play this game the most.
5.8 inches.
5.8 was his guess.
Okay, you have a guess?
I don't.
6.6.
Wow.
So if you thought it was soggy, it was really
Yeah.
soggy. The Ball Lot well was not used at all. The McKnight well was pumping at about 10,000 gallons a day. The 2PW at about 12,000 a day. The 5PW only the last 10 days of May, also at 10,000, and the 4PE and 10PA were pumping at about 15 to 16,000 gallons a day. This is interesting. The Woodmark well, which has been pumping at about 25,000 gallons a day, in this month was moved up from 25 to 35,000 gallons a day. Nope, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Forget it. I was adding meter readings. It was also pumping at about 25,000 a day, and the water tower was at its significant height of about 165 feet, which gives you good water pressure in your homes, and the quality met standards, and there was one flushing of a water main and one water main break at 56 Woods Road.
Thank you, Trustee Israeli. Trustee Schneider, please.
Okay, so the Tivoli Village Court Charge Volume Summary Report for May 1st through May 31st. Total charges received were 17. Total charges disposed were 24. And a total of $1,488.41 was collected and remitted to the state comptroller.
Thank you, Trustee Schneider. The deputy mayor is away observing moose and running from bears in Alaska for a few weeks. So I'm sure she's having a great time, and she'll be back next month. And Trustee Murphy, please.
So after a lot of hard work with Trustee Schneider and Parents Group, happy to say that we're bringing the Tivoli Rec Camp back this summer. It's going to be held 2 weeks in August, so the 7th through the 11th and the 14th through the 18th. It'll be Monday through Friday. We'll have a half-day program to start out with, 9 to 12 at the park. There's going to be games, sports, crafts, and special activities, which will include some parents might come and teach a small module on filmmaking, on photography, on music. We'll also have walking tours of the village itself, talking to Michael and Andrea at Tangent Theater. Hopefully we can get cat spam, some programs at the library as well, for the children to discover what's actually is available in our village. So it'll be open from ages 5 to 14. Sign up, there will be a day on Saturday, this Saturday, June 24th, from 10 to noon at Village Hall. I'll be there to answer any questions. We have a registration form and a medical form, and immunization records as well need to be submitted. We'll be taking these until June 30th. That's a deadline that we get materials in. These materials will also be available in Village Hall, as well as posted tomorrow on the Village website to be downloaded for ease of use. As far as fees, we will have to charge a nominal fee. For Tivoli residents per week, it'll be $20 for your first child. If siblings are involved, it'll be $10. And for non-residents, it'll be $30 per week, and then $15 for siblings. And you will be able to choose the first week or the second week. And please make checks payable to the Village of Tivoli. And the trustee Scheidner, myself, and the parents group are actually still working on this, finishing the final details for the department and state Department of Health, and also locating a program director. So if you know anybody, please get in touch with me. If you have any questions, my phone number and my email address are on the Village website. So don't hesitate.
I think we need to take a minute and acknowledge all of the hard work that Trustee Murphy's put into this project. I know he is still eyeballs deep in the Department of Health paperwork that he's completing, and the number of hours that he has dedicated to resurrecting our rec program really need to be acknowledged. So thank you so much for all the hard work that you put in. I know it's a lot.
And you know what I enjoyed when he was talking about this is how engaged the parents group was
Yes.
in defining what the program would be, defining when it would be, in terms of, there are other camps around. This one fills a gap that isn't covered in August. So I really think in resurrecting this, you've made it better and more appropriate for the community.
Well done. And of course, Chris was an alum of rec
Yes, it was. Yes.
just a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's actually pretty much where we met.
Yeah.
So we're glad to bring it back, and hopefully we'll have a successful program, and we can grow and build it in the summers to come. So, all right. Thank you, Trustee Murphy. Tomorrow night, 3rd floor, 7 p.m. You have a second chance to follow the biggest story in the village at present, which is the fate of our water and sewer systems. I dedicated 90% of the June newsletter to this topic, and I hope you all read it. I learned that some people don't open their bill until late in the month because they know, I don't have to pay this till the 30th, so I'm not going to open it till the 29th. We put important stuff in there. You should open it as soon as you get it, because maybe something happened that we were going to tell you about on the 12th, and then you missed it. So I had no idea. I thought people were eager to tear open that envelope and read their village newsletter, but I learned how naive I was. So the good news is Aaron Moore from Ty and Bond, who was the engineer that conducted that 18-month evaluation of both the water system and the sewer systems, I mean it's this thick, and Bridget Barclay, Executive Director of the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority, have volunteered to come back and do the entire show a second time. And we had one on May 18th. I think for those who attended, it was very interesting, very informative. These are big issues. The attendance was weak, and that's critical, because what these reports are saying are that Tivoli needs $9.5 million to get these water and sewer systems where they need to be. That in the most conservative financial models, in order to pay for that, where there were no grants and everything was just bonded for, that would result in everyone's quarterly water and sewer bills doubling in the first 5 years. Now, if that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what else to do. And then the next big question is, does the Village of Tivoli want to maintain these systems, and your village government and future village governments tackle these repairs and upgrades? Or do we transfer to the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority? That should also get your attention. So I hope that you've heard about it. We have been advertising this as broadly and deeply, and now for over 3 months. So there's really no excuse for not knowing what's going on, and you have a second opportunity tomorrow evening, Thursday the 22nd at 7 p.m. To watch the presentation and ask questions and help us in the big conversation how are we gonna deal with this? We all know our water and sewer systems are old. We've had a water main break just since the last meeting about the water system. So I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. And I hope what is encouraging to everyone is that Tivoli is gonna take this on. We cannot ignore it any longer. These systems are 80 years old, and as everyone knows, they're showing their age. So please come tomorrow night.
And I would just add, the first meeting, we as a board have gotten to hear from these two ladies on a regular basis, but my observation was that they are very approachable, that they talk about things in terms that everybody can understand, that all of the right questions were asked by this residents of Tivoli, and that they got a chance to really hear the answers from the people who were involved. So if you haven't heard this, or you know of a neighbor who hasn't attended, you know, say something.
Spread the word.
Because this is a really big deal.
Next thing I want to remind everyone about is the construction that begins on Pine Street on Monday. This is part of a community development block grant we won 2 years ago for $120,000. That's ultimately federally funded. It comes through the county, distributed to municipalities, and Pine Street, the west end, is going to get the fire hydrant's going to get moved back, the lamppost moved back, the bus shelter comes out and will be replaced by a new bus shelter. The big news is there's going to be a full bus lane over there, long enough for 2 buses. We know we have the Barton Shuttle and the County Loop Bus. We're the terminus of the County Loop Bus system. So they will be off the road, which should, make things much safer, better sight lines for motorists and pedestrians. Obviously, it's the entrance to our park. That construction is going to take 3 to 4 weeks, and during that period, 1 lane of Pine Street should always remain open. Disruption to the bus services, they're going to be back using in front of the post office during this period before they can return to a newer, better bus stop. We'll have additional sidewalk. We're doing more granite curbing to keep with our nicer sidewalks, benches, garbage and recycling receptacles, and a new bus shelter. We'll also be fixing the shoulder eastward along the community garden, which if you've been over there, you know it's very potholed from all the buses coming through there. So it's going to look good. It's going to be messy for a month. Bear with us, and we're looking forward to it. And sorry for any inconvenience on Pine Street.
Just to say,
Yeah.
people visiting the park are still parking on the far side of the park.
Yes, on Catherine Lane, along there.
And
Yes.
also anybody, my fellow gardeners at the community garden, there's municipal parking as well right across the street. So.
Yeah, yeah. Now, when I said I spent 90% of that newsletter on water sewer, and of course we had half a dozen people say, he didn't say whether there was going to be yard sale day. So I'm sorry, I just thought that wasn't newsworthy to the degree that the water sewer was, but hey. Once again, I misread the village. So, yard sale day is happening just like every year. The final Saturday of July, which is this year the 29th, you can come and register your yard sale for $10, and we'll put you on the map. And do we have those ready yet, or should we?
The application?
Yeah.
Yes, they're ready, and actually there's one on the website.
Okay, great. So,
Will we also be offering spaces in
Yes, and those are 20.
okay, so there are spaces available if you prefer to pick up your garage sale and relocate it here in the parking lot or at the yard here of the village hall. Those spaces are available for a nominal fee of $20.
and because someone asked me a little while ago, during yard sale day, we will still have, let's see, the prohibition against parking on Montgomery Street. That will remain in effect. We are not suspending that just because we're having a bunch of yard sales, which is a lot of fun, but the safety needs of emergency access on that, which is serving as the main ingress and egress to the village, has to be maintained. So that'll be inconvenient for yard salers along Montgomery Street. Maybe you want to move it to a friend's house on another street. It has to remain open. and we'll still be enforcing no parking on that day. So please cooperate, we appreciate it, and we want to have a good yard sale day, but this summer we've got that detour. There's nothing we can do about it. And lastly, 1 week after July 29th, on Saturday, August 5th, will be Tivoli Day. Over in the park, 2 o'clock. More information to be announced, but please save the date. Please come as we celebrate together as a community our fabulous village. With that, we'd like to open the floor to public comments. Mr. Cooper.
You said the bus is going to temporarily park by the post office?
Well, they'll have to pick up and drop off there, yes.
Right by the post office?
Well, as close as they can get when the cars are parked there, yeah. The way it used to be when the loop bus stopped over there.
That's a 15-minute zone, so residents can get their mail and whatever, go to Murray's or Mike's or whatever. Could it move up past the yellow zone here by the property there? Could it
Say
be temporarily
east or west?
designated there somewhere?
east or west. You mean just doing it
Right here on
this side of the post
By
office?
Tom Jensen's vacant lot there.
We can consider it. I mean, I think, they're gonna swing around Pine
There's a
Street.
tremendous amount of congestion there
Yeah.
to begin with.
Well, that's the whole
Then
reason
to
they
have-
moved the bus stop in the first
Have
place.
3 or 4 buses sitting there or whatever.
Yeah, well, I have talked to the loop bus. They won't be sitting there. They're only gonna pick up and drop off. Now, sometimes the loop bus sits for 20 minutes to maintain its schedule over there, and I've got another spot for them to do that. So they're not gonna be parking over here. They're just gonna be picking up and dropping off. So, but, it's still on the little loop, so I don't have a better idea than that. But, we've talked to them. Fortunately, in the summer, we have the shorter shuttle. So it will be an inconvenience, but it
And we got the-
won't be long.
Camp too,
Camp, right, well,
another bus.
that's not a diurnal happening, yeah. And I think another nice thing about, this new super bus stop is no one's ever gonna try and move the bus stop again. There's no danger, because sometimes I hear, you should put it on Broadway, from people who were not here 5 or 6 years ago. I say, oh, no, so, but thank you for that, Dave. Any
The
other
fire,
comments?
the 15 feet of fire plug, is that 15 feet in every direction, or is that just on where the fire plug side of the street?
What's the fire plug side of the street? You have to leave 15 feet on either side of the hydrant. You can't park up next to the hydrant.
Because cars do park on the street across from fire plugs.
Right.
That's not really,
That's
Not
not
an
illegal.
issue, right?
doesn't make any difference.
Any other comments or questions from the public?
I see Mr. Fenton has been active. Nice to see that it's not him, but he's enforced some stuff, and we're getting a few dumpsters cleaned up, and maybe we'll get some couches and garbage cans moving sometime.
Yep. Well, David Cleveland sees progress, so there must be some.
It's in my neighborhood, I see it.
I'm really happy to hear that, Dave. And obviously, it's going to take him some time to work his way around, but
He's got a
he's off to-
tremendous amount to do.
he's off to a great start, and he's got a tremendous amount to do. So we appreciate that feedback. Trustees, any other discussion or comments before we adjourn?
Enjoy this beautiful weather.
Enjoy this beautiful weather. Is there a motion to adjourn? That was these two people over here,
Again.
Schneider
The
Israeli.
Bobbsey twins.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 7:48, we are adjourned. Thank you, folks.